Hello and welcome to Oneindia. You are watching World News, where we track the ever-evolving, the new global order. The tensions across the Middle East continue to ripple through energy markets, military alliances and geopolitical calculations. The United States is escalating its warnings to Iran. Tehran is expanding the battlefield beyond its borders. And after the dramatic leadership change in Iran, the power struggle inside the Islamic Republic is now becoming an international contest. We begin with the strategic choke point that sits at the center of the global energy system, the Strait of Hormuz. Washington has issued a blunt warning to Tehran. Any further attacks on American or Israeli targets could trigger direct control of the world's most critical oil corridor. Oil markets reacted immediately, shipping stalled, and for a moment, the global economy held its breath. Here is the story.
After a series of attacks on oil tankers and commercial ships in the Gulf, U.S. President Donald Trump has issued a strong warning to Iran, saying the United States could take control of the strategically important Strait of Hormuz if Tehran continues to threaten global shipping.
The Strait of Hormuz is going to remain safe. We have a lot of Navy ships there. We have the best equipment in the world, inspecting for mines. Again, most of their ships are down at the bottom of the sea, but we will hit them so hard.
The warning comes after multiple incidents near the Strait of Hormuz, where Iranian drones and missiles have reportedly targeted oil tankers and energy infrastructure. Several merchant vessels have also come under attack, with reports saying at least 7 sailors were killed, according to the International Maritime Organization. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the world's most critical shipping routes, with nearly 20% of global oil supply passing through the narrow waterway. Due to rising security concerns, commercial tanker traffic through the strait has slowed sharply, raising fears of major disruptions to global energy markets. Amid these developments, oil prices briefly surged close to $120 per barrel, the highest level since 2022, before easing back toward $90 as markets reacted to statements from the United States. Speaking in a phone interview with CBS News, Trump said the U.S. military has already carried out extensive operations against Iran. According to the U.S. military, more than 5,000 Iranian targets have been struck during the first week of the conflict. Trump also claimed that Iran's military capabilities have been severely weakened, saying the country has effectively lost much of its Navy, Air Force, and communications network. At the same time, tensions increased further after Iran appointed Mojtaba Khamenei as the country's new supreme leader, following the reported death of his father.
Mojtaba Khamenei, rahbar aziz ma, wali faqih ma, Allahu Akbar!
Trump issued a direct warning to Tehran, saying if Iran attempts to block the Strait of Hormuz or disrupt oil shipments, the United States could move to take control of the vital waterway. In a post on social media, Trump said if Iran tries to stop the flow of oil through the strait, the United States would respond 20 times harder than it has so far. Despite the strong rhetoric, Trump also suggested the conflict could be short-lived, saying the war may turn out to be a short-term excursion. The ongoing fighting has already disrupted energy supplies, forced evacuations from key business hubs, and pushed millions of civilians to seek shelter as strikes hit military bases, government buildings, and critical infrastructure. In a diplomatic development, Trump also held a phone conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
I had a very good call with President Putin. We had a lot of people on the line from our side, from his side. We were talking about Ukraine, which is just a never-ending fight. And look, there's tremendous hatred between President Putin and President Zelensky. They can't seem to get it together. But I think it was a positive call on that subject. And we obviously talked then about the Middle East. And he wants to be helpful.
According to Moscow, Putin suggested exploring a political and diplomatic solution to help bring the escalating conflict to an end.
Now, the conflict is no longer confined to rhetoric or economic pressure. Iran has now expanded its military signaling beyond Israel and the Gulf. In a significant escalation, Iranian missiles struck a military facility in Jordan, a base that hosts both German and American personnel. The attack targeted the Al-Azraq airbase, raising serious concerns with NATO and European security circles about the widening theater of confrontation. Fortunately, there were no casualties, but the message from Tehran was unmistakable. Here is what happened.
Iran's missile strikes in the Middle East have now hit a German military position. On the night of March 9, 2026, Iranian ballistic missiles struck the German section of Al-Azraq Air Base, also known as Mawafik Salti Air Base in eastern Jordan. The base is a multinational coalition facility that hosts personnel from the German Bundeswehr, the U.S. Air Force, and other allied forces. This time, however, the impact was reported inside the area used by German troops. According to initial reports, several missiles were launched from Iran as part of Tehran's retaliation against U.S. and allied military installations across the region. One of those missiles reportedly hit a building in the German field camp at the base. Despite the strike, no German soldiers were killed or injured. Military officials say all personnel had already moved into protective bunkers before the missiles hit, as the base had been on high alert amid the escalating conflict. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, has claimed responsibility for several strikes on coalition bases in the region. Iran described the Al-Azraq facility as one of the most active bases used by U.S. fighter jets operating in the Middle East, saying its missile forces targeted key infrastructure there. The base had been considered relatively secure because it hosts advanced American air defense systems, including THAAD batteries designed to intercept ballistic missiles. However, reports suggest that some missiles or debris still managed to impact structures inside the base, including barracks in the German sector. German authorities say the full extent of the damage is still being assessed. The strike has raised concern in Berlin because German troops in the region are mainly deployed for counter-ISIS operations, not direct involvement in the expanding Iran war. In response to the rising security risks, Germany has placed 2 Airbus A400M transport aircraft on standby in case an evacuation of its troops becomes necessary. This was not the first strike on the base during the conflict. Earlier attacks between February 28th and March 3rd reportedly damaged a U.S. THAAD radar system stationed at Al-Azraq. Satellite images later showed burn marks, debris, and destruction to parts of the radar array, which plays a critical role in detecting incoming missiles. The latest strike comes as Iran continues launching missiles and drones at military bases linked to the United States and its allies across the Middle East.
Even as the military confrontation intensifies, Iran itself is undergoing a dramatic internal transition. Just a week after the death of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the Islamic Republic has named its new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei. China has already moved to shield the new leader diplomatically. Israel has hinted that leadership change will not alter its security calculations, and Donald Trump has claimed the United States will have a role in determining Iran's future leadership. Here is the final report.
The world just entered a dangerous new chapter. Russia and China are now openly backing Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, and their warning to the US, absolutely chilling. Russian President Vladimir Putin sent a personal message praising Khamenei, reaffirming Moscow's unwavering support for Tehran. He called on Iran to continue its father's path and unite the nation, a clear signal that Russia will stand by Iran no matter what. And it's not just Russia. Beijing also spoke up. China officially recognized the leadership change, emphasized Iran's constitutional process, and sent a sharp warning to Washington: hands off, no interference, respect Iran's sovereignty, or face the consequences. This comes after US President Donald Trump claimed the new Iranian leader won't last long without America's approval. China's response? A blunt rejection. And Russia? Silent but deadly support. The timing is explosive. Since the assassination of Iran's former supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, the region has erupted into chaos. Iran has retaliated with missile and drone strikes, targeting US allies in the Gulf and Israel. More than 1,250 Iranians have already died in the ongoing campaign, including civilians and schoolchildren. Now imagine this: a new Iranian leader backed by two of the world's most powerful nations. Moscow and Beijing are effectively drawing a line in the sand, signaling to the US any move against Iran could trigger a far larger global confrontation. The message is clear: Iran isn't alone. Russia and China are willing to escalate political, economic, and even military pressure if necessary. And in a world already on edge, this alliance could change everything. Now, how will the US respond? One thing's certain: the game has changed. And with Russia and China siding with Tehran, the stakes have never been higher.
And that succession battle in Tehran may prove just as consequential as the missiles flying across the region, because behind the military escalation lies a deeper contest over who shapes the future of Iran and, by extension, the balance of power in the Middle East. We will continue tracking these developments closely. You are watching World News.